Recently, quite a few videos have been copyright claimed for the music I used in the intro, and unfortunately, I had to mute some of them. However, I upload every intro to my Instagram and they're perfectly intact, so if you'd like to check them out, follow me on Instagram at thebirdman15. And if you haven't seen the previous video in this series, follow the link on your screen or click the link in the description or pinned comment below.
Old-timey Fox logo and music does not prepare you for one of the best sci-fi horror movies of all time.
This has got to be the stupidest logo sin of all time. Not to mention, it shows that CinemaSins doesn't actually remove sins for short studio logos and only did so once or twice because the Birdman called him out on it.
Also, its cargo is a refinery processing 20 million tons of mineral ore. I guess they invented the perpetual motion machine between 1979 and whatever year this is.
So, the sin here is that Jeremy believes processing 20 million tons of ore is somehow unbelievable. In a science fiction movie that has spaceflight that reaches so far, the planets are basically numbers. You think a spacefaring ship in 2122 won't be able to do something as mundane as processing ore? Here's what I think of that.
Also, I don't know shit about space, but this is one of the least aerodynamic looking ships I've ever seen. It's like 4 interconnected weebles. Doesn't exactly scream streamlined.
You should have stopped at you didn't know shit about space, because talking about aerodynamics in a vacuum is almost as bad as thinking the reason things fall on Earth is because of density. The aero in aerodynamic refers to air, which means a vessel used for space travel doesn't need to be aerodynamic because there is no air.
Spaceship half designed by Mr. Coffee.
You say that like it's a bad thing. Alien's aesthetic is incredible even to this day, and it's way better than pretty much every other sci-fi movie in their overused neon digital screens. Give me analog any day.
And this spaceship door is brought to you by Purina.
And tic-tac-toe, and the game of chess, and Croatia, and...
I have it on good authority that one of these crew members was dreaming of electric sheep.
Jeremy makes a Blade Runner, not really, but kinda, pop culture reference that isn't a sin of the movie cliche.
Also, given what we know about Ian Holmes' character later, how was he put under like a regular human, given that he is not one? Man, the Weyland Corporation goes to prestige levels of commitment to the illusion.
The answer to this question is so obvious it hurts. Ash mimics humans because that is what Weyland Corp wants. An android that's more human than human. They're similar to Tyrell Corp in that way. Anyway, the humans are completely unaware that Ash is an android, so in order to maintain that fiction, Ash needs to go into cryosleep. Otherwise, he'd be walking around when they woke up, and that would immediately cause distrust and suspicion amongst the group, and he'd fail his mission.
Turning the lights on full bright before the sleeping, even have a goddamn second to wake up and
Yes, because the purpose is to wake them up, as there is an issue the computer detected. You're asking for a 1979 snooze button, and only unproductive losers use the snooze button. That is me. I am unproductive losers.
Also, are those Lilu nipple strips of fabric? That's the best way the future space programs can think of to cover female breasts in cryosleep. A 1-inch strip of cloth. You can put full diapers on the men's crotches, but lady nipples, don't waste any fabric.
Well, yeah, that's because dicks are bigger than nipples. Oh, wait.
Futuristic computers allow for super colloquial input queries.
But you just said it. Futuristic computers. If this society is so advanced to be exploring planets and moons 39 light years away from Earth, I'd think a computer would understand a simple question.
Wouldn't you think far future spaceships would be better equipped for landing on strange planets than this movie suggests? One rock f***s everything up.
Amazing how in one breath you question the computer's ability to respond to colloquialisms, but now you're saying the ship should be so futuristic as to not have landing issues. Are they futuristic or not? Stick to one argument, please. Anyway, the film describes why they had such a rough landing. Turbulence and losing pressure in one of the intakes. Watch the damn film.
We can't fix it out here anyway, and we need to reroute a couple of these ducts when we say Look, we couldn't fix it out here anyway. We got to reroute all these ducts and...
Why is Parker repeating the exact thing he just said 5 seconds ago?
Besides the obvious movie thing of the actor playing Parker having recorded the ADR with a different energy, the in-universe explanation is that Parker is repeating himself. In other words, he doesn't think they heard him properly, and he also added information the second time, conveniently right where you cut him off. Knowing your history, one might assume that was intentional.
If they find what they're looking for out there, that mean we get full shares?
Something tells me this guy isn't happy with his shares. I don't know what gives me that impression, other than that's been his entire dialogue for the whole movie.
Is your point that the movie doesn't give Parker any other characterization besides being unhappy with his pay? Because if so, I'd argue that since he was reluctant to even answer this distress call and is only here because his contract forced him to do so, it's reasonable for this to be a thing. Think about it. On a day where you're forced into OT with your job, isn't that like the only thing you think about during that time? I worked retail the majority of my life. I gotta tell you, this is completely normal.
Computer monitors often simply just show ones and zeros to its users.
I'm not suggesting that binary is the easiest or most convenient language to read, but you would think that if the ship they're on uses it, surely this wouldn't be difficult at all for them to understand. The code in the Matrix is orders of magnitude more complex than binary, and even then, Cypher says this.
Do you always look at it encoded?
Well, you have to. The image translators work for the construct program, but there's way too much information to decode the matrix. You get used to it. I don't even see the code. All I see is blonde, brunette, redhead.
This is some iconic and amazing visual brilliance. Let's hope no one ever tries to explain it with a backstory movie.
Yeah, but that's a sin for Prometheus, not one for Alien. Somehow you're conflating something a whole other movie did with this one. How does this make sense to you?
Oh, there's a giant alien skeleton. It should be evident by now they responded to a super old, outdated distress call. Yet investigative bullshit still goes on for a while, leading to the contamination of the ship.
Jeremy's reaction to encountering a derelict alien spacecraft is, "This is old, let's leave." Imagine if the people that originally discovered dinosaur fossils had this attitude. We wouldn't have amazing movies like Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom, and that would be a shame.
That transmission. Mother's deciphered part of it. It doesn't look like an SOS. It looks like a warning.
You mean they decided to land on the planet, walk outside, and investigate before their awesome computer deciphered some of the message? Look, I know they're bound by some stupid space rules to check out signals like this, but couldn't they have waited?
This was a distress call. You don't wait on those. In other words, Jeremy is every ER in America.
I mean, after finding a giant skeleton, how much more effort would you really put into investigating this obviously dead place? The distress signal is obviously old. Move along. Don't go spelunking, for Christ's sake.
Again, this is an alien spacecraft. How many times do you just happen upon a technologically advanced alien craft? If they, like you, believe this ship was dead, exactly what reason do they have to not explore it? From that perspective, there is no danger and even something to gain. Besides, they're going to be stuck out here for the next 25 hours anyway.
So we are introduced to the facehugger, which is a scary little bastard. But one question, do these eggs live forever until a host just happens to walk by? How long have these eggs been here for this to be possible?
Here you go again, just assuming things shouldn't be possible. First of all, we're literally talking about an alien species at this point. Anything is possible. If you've ever played Mass Effect, you'd know that the Asari lived to be 1,000 years old. It's possible because the story says it is, because it's fiction.
I have confirmed that he's got an outer layer of protein polysaccharides, a funny habit of shedding his cells and replacing them with polarized silicon, which gives him a prolonged resistance to adverse environmental conditions. Well, it's an interesting combination of elements, making him a tough little son of a bitch.
Even in our reality here on Earth, there are living things that can survive for long periods of time, such as endospores, which are notoriously difficult to kill and can live up to 250 million years.
Wait a minute. If we let it in, the ship could be infected.
Ripley, this is an order. Open that hatch right now.
I'm gonna say bringing the guy with the helmet alien back on the ship was a bad idea. Bad science, bad logic, and obviously it led to several more movies of agony that could have been avoided.
Oof, what an opinion to have. I mean, Aliens, Isolation, and Prometheus are top-tier sci-fi romps, and none would exist without this movie's success. Sure, Alien Resurrection sucks, and the jury is still out on 3, but you gotta take the good with the bad in this franchise, and the good outweighs the bad in my mind.
If any asshole can simply open the door from the outside, then why did it appear that Ripley was the only person who could open it? Seems like you'd have protocols in place to avoid like this.
Am I having a stroke, or does this not look like the outside to anyone else? The outside?
These dicks apparently show no fear when it comes to face-hugging aliens. They have no idea what this is, but they observe it with the calm of an ENT checking out little Timmy's sore throat.
Considering Ash is a replicant, synthetic, and Dallas is the captain, yeah, I don't think they should be showing outward fear in this scene.
hell is that?
A question better served answered while this dude was outside the ship, no?
You mean the thing they literally couldn't see until they cut his helmet off?
I love the fact that this alien has such an incredible defense mechanism, but how are they able to cut this f***er's skin if it has the power to hold acid blood?
That's like asking why are snakes resistant to their own venom, or why don't humans get sick from the bacteria in their guts? It's called evolution. The xenomorphs aren't affected by their own blood because their body simply doesn't have a chemical reaction to the acid. Your own stomach contains acid. Notice how that acid doesn't eat through your stomach, but how I can still shank you in prison?
These faces see the facehugger is not on Kane's face anymore and just leave the f***ing door open.
Well, yeah. In order to get into a room, you kinda have to open the door. Besides, Ripley guards the door the entire time, and the moment she moves away from the door, could it be? Is that Ash closing the door?
Even Ripley, who's been the most sensible person on the ship thus far, decides, f*** it, this door to the entire ship can just stay open. We need the light from outside, because there's clearly no lights in here for some reason.
There's a reason CinemaSins skips the very next part of this scene, and it's not because they like you.
Is it just me, or is this thing extremely vaginal looking? H.R. Giger was a mad genius, and sinful as hell.
Well, yeah, that was the entire thought process behind the life cycle of the xenomorphs, to subvert the idea of sexual power and to specifically make men uncomfortable. Think about it. You have this thing that looks like a vagina, but it forcibly penetrates you and lays its eggs inside you, making you pregnant. There is no clearer rape analogy than that, my friend.
Hey, we think this thing we're 100% unfamiliar with is dead, even though it's face-hugged our friend and bled acid. Let's get it open and tinker with it.
Welcome to science. You gotta crack a few eggs if you're going to further the knowledge of the human race. Besides, the movie has this discussion explicitly.
Seems dead enough.
Well, good. Let's get rid of it.
God's sake, this is the first time that we've encountered a species like this. It has to go back. All sorts of tests have to be made.
Ash, are you kidding? This thing bled acid. Who knows what it's gonna do when it's dead?
Has his condition changed?
It's simpler if you just come and see him.
Bald-faced lie. If you can't explain his condition in less time than it takes Dallas to get down there, then you're broken and in need of serious repair, even though no one knows you're an android yet.
It's confusing when you question everything on a movie level and then randomly, other times you take an in-universe approach. In this instance of everything inconsistent about CinemaSins, you fail to recognize the movie doing something for the benefit of the audience, surprising them with the reveal that Kane is seemingly okay. This is the movie setting up the chestburster scene and precisely why it was so effective. Seriously, nobody actually has a problem with the "you better come take a look at this" cliche, and those that pretend to are your dumbass fanboys that think just because you said it, it's a problem.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you
We don't care.
Terrific. Next silly question.
Oh, he's awake and doing fine, eh? You're right. There's no way to communicate that over a radio. Dallas did indeed 100% absolutely need to see this to get the point.
No, but the audience did. Get it?
This is iconic as shit. And even better, the cast didn't know what was going to happen either. Me, this is great.
Hear me out. I understand that Jeremy is removing a sin here. And he should, because this is one of the most iconic scenes in movie history. But imagine the impact this scene would have if they revealed Kane was okay over the radio instead of simply showing the audience that he was. This is what Jeremy isn't getting, and it's weird because he recognizes the gravity of this scene. That's what I'm sitting him for, taking things in a vacuum. The payoff doesn't exist without the setup.
All right, you get him, we'll go on.
But be sure to find the cat by yourself, because we have lots of not dying to do.
You might think I'm not petty enough to point out that obvious audio splice. You also might be new to everything wrong with CinemaSins.
Holy shit. Honestly, the most sinful thing in this whole movie is how fast this thing goes from chestburster tiny dude to this mega alien in size in like a few hours. That's some of the most rapid growth in the history of possibilities.
And it's also an alien species that the movie is introducing for the first time. It's almost like they're saying this thing that doesn't exist in reality has a list of attributes that makes it alien to us.
Whatever it was big.
Wait, you saw the alien? Where was that scene? I thought you and Ripley were just hanging back with your alien detecting device letting Brett die.
That scene is in the director's cut, where it's shown that Ripley and Parker actually see the xenomorph drag Brett into a ventilation shaft. This version simply implies that they saw it.
And now the Nostromo, its balls heavy with the potential ejaculate of victory over an alien. Skip! I know this air pressure displacement detector thing dropped the alien signal a minute ago, but how does it accurately tell where Dallas is and completely inaccurately tell where the alien is? The alien is currently below Dallas, where it somehow solved how to make air displace in the floor directly above it.
CinemaSins is so confused, they basically just said a bunch of inarticulate nonsense and send the movie for it. Nothing of what Jeremy just said correlates with the scene, nor what the scene was trying to articulate. The tracking device could track Dallas because he was moving, and it couldn't track the alien because it wasn't moving.
Okay, so the crew is expendable and the company wants the alien at all costs. So why was the information that was only for the science officer made available, even if Ripley performed an emergency override? Even in a situation like this, the science officer is the only person who needs to know this bit of information ever.
What? The movie basically shows Ripley having to hack into the computer to get it to show this information. You're showing scenes without their context again, which is, dishonest.
When an android finally reveals its evil nature, the dramatic weight causes white fluid to escape from its head.
You mean after this scuffle with Ripley that you didn't show and caused her to have a nosebleed?
The android medical officer is able to fight off 3 able-bodied humans for a brief time, which seems excessive.
Not only did you... Wait, what was that? The word excessive, the ding happened mid-sentence and didn't even correlate with the sin counter changing. What the hell was going on with the editing of this video?
So now we're at the revealing stage of this movie's plot, and I'm just wondering, if the company wants an alien at all costs, why not send qualified personnel out on these missions? Why send a ship that's hauling an ore refinery? Why not put several androids on this ship? Okay, so maybe the movie is saying this ship just happened to find the signal the company was looking for, and in the event of an alien sighting, go get the alien. But that doesn't explain why they make their crews so ill-prepared to handle one should they run into it. The chances of them bringing back a viable organism are super low in this situation.
Everything the movie infers points to Weyland-Yutani knowing about the aliens and setting all of this up so that this specific crew encounters the creature. They planted Ash on this ship, so that's the biggest piece of evidence. Of course, years after this movie came out, we're shown that Yutani is aware of xenomorphs way back in the 21st century, and that Weyland Corp itself is also aware of aliens. But there would have been no reason to plant Ash otherwise, so that answers that question. The reason they don't make this a bigger operation than it is the need to be clandestine. They want to control one of the most destructive weapons in the galaxy, a xenomorph. An expendable crew is the perfect cover.
Not only does he want to kill them, but he seems to want to kill this one anally.
The head bite is probably the most famous attack of the xenomorph. It is also famously short range, so in order to accomplish this task, the alien attempts to hold the victim in place with its arms or its tail. It's currently trying the latter.
Decades before she'd helped set off a self-destruct weapon for comedy's sake in Galaxy Quest, Sigourney Weaver was setting off self-destruct weapons in movies for the purpose of story.
Thanks for pointing that out, I guess? What the hell does that have to do with everything wrong with Alien?
How the hell did this thing get on board? And if so, why didn't it kill Ripley before she took off? Or is this movie saying the alien crawled through a duct of some sort while she flew away from the main ship? This has always puzzled me when it comes to the before and after. If before, she should be dead. If after, I don't see how the alien got inside. It's Alien 22.
This is what happens when you cut out necessary parts of a movie to tell silly lies about that movie. Ripley sets off the self-destruct system and is on her way to the escape shuttle when she runs into the alien directly in front of the shuttle. The alien hadn't noticed her, so she runs back to shut off the self-destruct system, and this is where the alien wanders into the escape shuttle. They specifically show it looking at the cat in the shuttle, dude.
That engine burst really totally killed that alien, but also put you on a direct course for the restaurant at the end of the universe, so...
This is how we're ending this video? A vague reference to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Something that literally has nothing to do with this movie at all and doesn't even make sense in the context in which it was used? Look, I know YouTube is free and all, but I still want my money back.